Welcome back to Chatwin Reacts, and today I felt like just confusing myself more than normal. I've been trying to get into baseball. I'm loving watching these baseball videos. I am getting into it, and like I said, I'll be honest, baseball at the start of kind of this channel would have been like the fourth most interesting sport for me. I thought, you know what, I wouldn't be into that. It remind me of rounders when I was at school. Baseball's is second and is very close to football at the moment, so I am enjoying it. I'm trying to learn the rules. I'm getting them slowly, and I thought I'm going to confuse myself by checking out bizarre rules in baseball you never knew existed, because I just feel like torturing myself today. So let's check that one out. Make sure down below in the comments you'll let me know your favourite team and favourite players I should be checking out. We just did the Angels highlights against the Astros. That was the first game I've ever watched. I enjoyed that one. So let's just check out some more bizarre rules. Let's go.
You think you've got all the rules in baseball all figured out? Well, think again. Many of these rules will actually leave your jaws hanging. Just don't let them hang too low enough for a baseball to pass through though, because there are going to be a lot of balls flying around very soon. From getting out before a fielder catches the ball to balks and foul tips, we're going to be looking at some rules that are just straight up bizarre. Rules that would make you go like, wait, what just happened? Is that even legal? We'll kick this one off with the Infield Fly Rule. It's a bit of a confusing rule, and even if we don't have it all figured out. So
why am I doing this to myself?
But here's what we know. The Infield Fly Rule is a rule in baseball and even in softball that's used to keep fielders in check in case they want to deceive base runners. Therefore, before a fly ball is caught, it is automatically treated as caught whether or not the infielder drops it on purpose. The rule came into existence in 1895 due to infielders intentionally letting pop-ups drop so as to get an out. This rule basically exists to ensure that the defense does not execute a double or triple play by intentionally not catching a ball that would have been easy to catch by the infielders. You probably think we made this one up, but look at Andrelton Simmons getting called on the Infield Fly Rule by the left field umpire, Sam Holbrook, during a game between the Cardinals and the Braves. Okay, moving on, you might like this one.
See, I do kind of get that because we've seen that in one of the highlights I did recently a couple of days ago. Because he dropped it, then he was able to get the guy out of first and second. So I kind of get that one, slightly.
We all know that there are several rules that apply to the pitcher alone, such as not moving the pivot foot from pitching rubber once the ball is to be thrown, or the mound visits by coaches allowed only once every inning. There are others, but there's one bizarre rule that applies to pitchers alone. This rule is called a balk. It simply means that once a pitcher is in his set position, wherein the ball is in his glove, hand stretch out, one foot on the pitching rubber and the other forward, he is not allowed to make any other movement. That is, in this position, the pitcher's not supposed to make any movements whatsoever when there are runners on the base. This means that even though an insect flies towards your face, you're not supposed to wave it off. And you're not to scratch your butt even though there was an itch killing you there. Just stay still, man. A balk is called if the pitcher doesn't come to a complete stop before he pitches, because it would be assumed that he's trying to deceive the runners into advancing so he can make a run when he does make the pitch. The balk has actually...
I actually think in one of my very first baseball videos we did, I asked, could a pitcher do something similar to maybe catch out a guy on second base trying to steal, possibly? And they kind of... So I knew this one.
Cost offenders their game. Check it out. But if the pitcher does his job properly without breaking any rules, strange or not, the catcher can get into trouble for catching. Okay, maybe not just catching. But listen, one of the main jobs of the catcher is to be the wall behind the plate, crouching in front of the home umpire to receive the ball from the pitcher. He does other noble tasks like directing the defense of his team, calling for pitches with hand signals, and getting more strike calls from the umpire. But with this notability comes some difficulties, which is why catchers protect themselves as best they can. So they wear stuff like chest and throat protectors, padded catcher's mitt, shin guards, and a mask. This is where the strangeness comes in. Even with all the hits a catcher receives during a ball game, he's only allowed to legally catch the baseball with his gloved hands and nowhere else. Therefore, the ball getting stuck in his face mask or hitting any other gears on the body of the catcher means that the runners get to advance to a free base or a dead ball is called. If the catcher intentionally catches the ball with his mask or
that's the clip I've seen. I was about to say that.
Advance 3 bases.
I think it was that one.
Think that was strange? Well, there were rules rules back then that were just straight up bizarre. In the case of the catchers we just spoke about, back then, before the early 1900s, catchers were not allowed to crouch, but stand a few feet behind home, and their jobs weren't as tasking or complicated as it is now. They only had to stop the ball coming from the pitcher, and that was it. And with that, their salaries get paid in full. So what made these guys start crouching? Well, that's our assignment for you today. Go find out and come tell us. And speaking of home plates, the umpires here were highly revered. In fact, it felt like the game was played for their entertainment back then in the 19th century. Here's what we mean. Umpires at the time were given comfortable seats to sit down and officiate the game, and were people not employed but chosen from mostly the prominent men in the local community. So that meant no squatting and little to no stress. A report in 1916 from Ohio's Marion Star newspaper read, "The old-time umpires were accorded the utmost courtesy by the players. They were given easy chairs, placed near the home plate, provided with fans on hot days, and their absolute comfort was uppermost in the minds of the players. The umpire always receives the choicest bits of food and the largest glass of beer." Who else feels like going back to the 19th century and becoming an umpire? If you raise your hand, you can put it down now for this next bizarre rule. It's called the...
I can't lie, I'm trying to figure out the 19th century. That's the 1800s, right?
dropped third strike rule, and it is still in existence today. This rule, which is sometimes called the uncaught third strike, can only happen on a strikeout pitch, especially when there are more than 3 outs needed to end an inning. So this is what it basically entails. If the catcher fails to catch the pitch in the air with the third strike of a plate appearance and the first base is open, then the batter becomes a runner. The batter is also said to run if there are 2 outs. In the official rule of baseball, it clearly states in Rule 5.05A2, a batter who does not realize his situation on a third strike not caught and who is not in the process of running to first base shall be declared out once he leaves the dirt circle surrounding home plate. This rule makes it possible for a pitcher to record up to 4 strikes in an inning. Okay.
Again, we watched on the Otani, if I'm saying that right, I hope I am, highlight video I did a couple of days ago. I saw that happen twice, and it confused me of why they were running, and I assumed it was because he dropped the ball.
Here's an extremely bizarre one we know you'll
could be
like.
right.
It's Rule 3.09 of the official baseball rules, and it literally states, players in uniform shall not address or mingle with spectators, nor sit in the stands before, during, or after a game. No manager, coach, or player shall address any spectator before or during a game. Players of opposing teams shall not fraternize at any time while in uniform. But you don't even need to watch baseball often to know that this rule not only sucks, it is completely ignored by baseball players. You seriously can't have men with all that adrenaline pumping here and there and not expect some kind of interaction at least. Just makes one wonder what the rule people were thinking when they made the rule.
That is
Their
a very,
rationale
very
also calls for questioning
appalling
when they
rule.
made the ground rule double. If you have ever seen a player run around the bases crossing home plate but only to be thrown back to the second base by the ump or even a player by the opposing team, then you've witnessed the ground rule double. And if you've been fortunate to be in the field when the ground rule double is called, then you must have been part of the people in the stands that go wild. The ground rule double can even lead to a home run or cut to a double, and could be a good thing or a bad one for the player. It all depends on where he is on the base path before the ball leaves the field of play. Are you confused? Yeah, well, we are too. So maybe we just move on to another, huh? The foul tip rule. According to MLB rule.
Would that be because the ball's bounced, hit the ground first, and then bounced over? So technically it's not a home run.
A foul tip is a batted ball that goes sharply and directly to the catcher's hand or glove and is legally caught. In simple English, if a batter fouls off a ball and the catcher catches it, a strike is subsequently called, as if it would have swung and missed. 2 strikes, foul tip occurs, a batter is called out. Catcher must catch the ball for it to count. Otherwise, it's a foul ball. Runners may advance following a foul tip just as they can after any other out. Well, that's all the strangeness we can allow for one day. If you enjoyed this video about the most bizarre rules in baseball, check out the video on the screen now. Or the...
I was a bit kind of expecting a bit more bizarre rules, because I feel like half of them I already knew and I know nothing, or I'd kind of already worked out watching 5 or 6 videos. So, a bit disappointing video. If any of you've learned anything, let me know in the comments. But I don't know. Maybe that wasn't. I was expecting to have my mind fully blown, but I didn't. Maybe I know more than I thought. And let me know down in the comments, as always, your favourite team and your favourite players, or any specific videos you want me to be checking out. And of course, while you're down there, if you could hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. Hope you all have a great day. Peace.